Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another ad hoc edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. Today I want to speak to you about someone who's been in the shadows whilst this Gambian saga has been going on. I want to speak to you about him, but first I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share and click the bell notification. So, who am I talking about? Well, I have a question first to many of you guys. How many of you guys know what a malediction is? If you have been to any sort of Christian church whilst you were younger, then and if you had bothered to pay attention during the early Sunday morning service, you might have heard the word brought up. A malediction, for all intents and purposes, is the opposite of a blessing. So it's known in popular culture as a curse. Now, I haven't heard this word in a very long time, some 30 years since I used to go to church with my mother and my family. So I was really surprised to hear this word again when it was brought up in a conversation I had with a gentleman in Atlanta last week. You see, last week I made a call expecting to speak to a gentleman that many of us have been speaking about in the comments section. I didn't know much about him, so I wanted to get to know more about him before I even involved him in what's happening over there in the Gambia. I didn't think he would be involved with anything back in the Gambia until somebody, I'm not even going to mention who it is, but somebody brought up his name in a telephone conversation. Yes, this gentleman goes by the name of Chief Montana. Now, I don't know his real name. If anybody knows his real name, please put it in the comment section below. I'd really like to know who he really is. I'd like to know more about his background, because I know he resides in the Atlanta area. That's what it says on his website, but who knows? He could be from New Jersey for all we know. So yeah, if you know more about him, please let me know in the comment section. If you know more about his history. But I've done quite a bit of reading up about the things he has done and the things that he's doing right now. And that's what I'm going to go through with you right now. Before I even start, I'm going to tell you that I didn't speak to Chief Montana, but I did speak to one of his associates. And I spoke to him about the work Chief Montana did. And it was very surprising what he told me. I'm going to go over the things that he spoke to me about a little later on in the video. But first of all, I'm going to take you through what he officially says he does on his website. I'm on chiefmontana.com and I'm in the section called About. So I'm going to read about him right now. So it says Chief Montana. Chief Montana is skinned or initiated as a warrior chief in the Dagomba tradition, the Dagomba tradition, located in northern Tamale, Ghana. He has also studied the indigenous Dagara cosmology based out of Burkina Faso, under the guidance of Dr. Malidoma Some. Through his trainings and natural talents, Chief Montana is a gifted diviner and healer whom is committed to returning the African to his and her indigenous self so that they may fulfill upon what they came into this world to do and be. So essentially, he is there to reconnect people with their ancestral spiritual powers so they can be further enlightened about themselves, where they came from, and also what they're supposed to do in their future. It's pretty simple. It goes into the ARC, which is a type of ritual that he performs. ARC stands for Ancestral Renewal and Communication. Utilizing traditional group rituals and online courses. Online. That's very convenient. Chief Montana successfully guides individuals to restore the ancestral circle of life that places their ancestors in the proper place in their families. This allows each family to function at a higher spiritual level through calling upon their ancestors for help, which allows our ancestors to fulfill their purpose. It goes on to say that Chief Montana resides in the Atlanta, Georgia area and provides spiritual services to his community and beyond to address various issues and concerns. He continues to be guided by the ancestors and elders back in Tamale and has been charged with the sharing the ancient wisdom of our ancestors to the world. I say, that's really nice. I know what you're thinking. What the hell has got to do with anything to do with the Gambia? Okay, we've got Atlanta, Georgia. We've got Ghana. These are places that are nowhere near the Gambia or nowhere near the people that have anything to do with the Gambia, right? Well, okay, not particularly right. Okay, so let me go into this. Some of you won't be surprised with what I'm about to say. Chief Montana has a very close bond and relationship with Art Cathey. He gave her a divination many years ago. No, I say many years ago. I think it was about 5 years ago. This is an estimation. Okay, he gave her a divination, cleansed her spiritually. Did a great job. Did a great job. I shouldn't say that. Oh God, I'll go through that again. So they got to know one another and their relationship grew. They even wrote a book with one another. I should say wrote a book with one another. The book was called Breaking the Soul Ties and Cleansing of the Womb, which is still available on Amazon. It's not doing too bad either. Wow, I'm pretty surprised. Art Cathey, she has some sophistication about her. She threw this book together, by the way, guys, and there was precious little that she actually had to do with the content inside it. She didn't actually get down and start pouring out her heart. She just took bits and pieces from different spiritual places and just banged them together in one book with the help of this man, Chief Montana. Now, many believe that this man is the real deal. There are many YouTubers. There are more than one YouTuber, okay? I don't like using the word YouTuber. They don't really have a good name at this present moment, including myself. I understand that. Fair enough. But many YouTubers have gone to see this Chief Montana, and many of them believe in him. So, is he the real deal? Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to go and see for myself. But there are others who think that this man is nothing more than another hoax, that he's essentially a person that uses the situation in which ADOS, African Americans, are in at this present moment, and he's selling these packages, these spiritual packages, simply for money to make a living from. He does this by manipulating people. How surprising is that? He does it by manipulating people in these spiritual courses, and these courses are not actually that expensive. I'm going to go back to the laptop here because it says here divinations, and then it gives us the price list. Okay, so for a 45-minute divination, which can be done by a telephone conversation, once again, how convenient is that? Chief Montana, to get answers to your questions about your spiritual path, current family and relationship questions, your spiritual health, and ancestors are around you, and more. Okay, so it says something like that, and that is $100 plus a 3.5% administration fee. He also does couples divinations, which is more like marriage counseling, I'm guessing, about the energy inside the couple. It's actually very nice. It seems really good because this is a great service for people. So this one's only $160 for 45 minutes. That's great. That's great. Or is that $160 per 45 minutes? Plus 3.5% administration fee. What kind of administration fee is this? What kind of administration do you need to pay 3.5% extra? I guess every little adds up, doesn't it? And he also has the dream interpretation. This one's pretty good value for money. 30 minutes, $80. So essentially he listens to whatever dream you had and then he interprets it for you. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. If he's real. I could see why Art Cathey was drawn to this man. I mean, here's a guy who is seemingly in touch with his spiritual self and who is making a lot of money. He's making a lot of money, right? So he's got to be making a lot of money. He's in the perfect part of the country, the perfect part of the world, because there isn't anybody in Africa who's going to be willing to pay these types of money for a divination. Except for, do you know what? That's a lie, that is. There are people who are paying that kind of money. How silly is that? Of course there is. There are people that are paying way more in Africa for this type of service. So, but that's a story for another day. Now, I can also see why Art Cathey and Crazy Boyd have not spoken about him yet. Because essentially, his business is all to do with credibility, right? You'd have to believe this guy a lot, in order to take your money and give it to him. But to say that he is just a fraud is not enough, really. We can't just say that. There needs to be proof. And I don't think there is much we can do to find proof. You either believe him or you don't, one or the other. What has this got to do with the Gambia? Well, okay, with what's happening in the Gambia, I should say. Well, this brings us back to the conversation that I had with the gentleman on the phone, the associate of Chief Montana. Okay, so I had a good talk with him about divinations and all these types of other things and services that Chief Montana enacts. So I asked him about the divination, and he said, yeah, you can do that. You can heal you, you can clean you, you can do all these things for you. I asked him about will it help you to consistently succeed in life? Will it give you the added edge? Right. And he said that there are other rituals that you can do which will give you the edge over your competitors and your opponents. Okay. And he didn't go too deep into it with me. He said that I'd have to have one, essentially. He said I'd have to pay for a consultation. But he did say that you can only use the spiritual cleansing and the spiritual enlightenment for good. Okay? I asked him why. He said, if you use it for good, then you can have consistency in your life. You can sustain it. You don't have to keep coming back and seeing them. You can essentially use this energy and then share it. But if you use it for bad, if you use it to do something bad, especially against your ancestors, this is what he said, against your ancestors. I was like, what? He said, then you will get a malediction. He said the word malediction, and I knew what it was straight away. I said, what, you get cursed? You get cursed if you do something, if you use the energy for bad? He said, yeah. That was simply stunning for me to hear this. And then I figured, wow, Is there some people that we know who are in this situation currently right now? We have the red pill and we have the blue pill. On the red pill, the red pill essentially is Chief Montana is the real deal. He does everything he says on the box. He's 100% to his word. What he says, he does. And Art Cathey has done all these divinations with him and has sought help, and she has done something bad, right? And has taken money from people and not provided those services back to those people, and knowingly, okay, fraudulently, right? And these divinations have essentially come back on her, and she's now getting all these maledictions because she's in a bad way at this present moment. You can even see her in her videos that she's not 100%. Her health is declining. I saw her in I think it was the second from last video. She actually looked okay. She looked pretty good. Nice clothes and everything, but you could tell that she was wearing lots of makeup, and you could just tell that there was something inside her eyes where she was hiding something. It's sad. I hate seeing black women in that situation. Don't get me wrong to my white viewers out there, but it really hits home to see a black woman hurt. It does. Now, if he isn't the real deal, then he is nothing less than another con man using our brothers and sisters, our ADOS brothers and sisters over there in the States, using their situation to manipulate them into giving him more of their hard-earned cash. In this situation, I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern of people giving up sometimes their life savings to people who don't give up. Really, they don't. And it's a shame to see black men act in this way. Let me bring something to you at another angle. We have Kwesi Boyd over there. And I don't know if you've been watching his videos, but you can see that he's been trying to keep things together, whilst Art Cathey and everybody else has been sort of almost ignoring the situation and just carrying on as normal. It seems as though everybody is after Kwesi Boyd. Over the last week, I've seen a shift from Art Cathey to Kwesi Boyd. I can see that he is trying to almost single-handedly take on this responsibility for all the things that have happened, which is remarkable, right? So I'm asking myself, well, why is he doing this for? Is he doing it because he's genuine in what he was saying? He's a good businessman who essentially has been put into a bad situation? Or has he had some sort of divination, some sort of black magic put upon him, some sort of spell where he essentially is caving in himself, and eventually he's just been made as the ultimate fall guy, and as soon as he has fallen, everybody else will carry on in their lives? I wanted to put that to you because I don't know much about spirituality myself. I will be speaking to Malance Bart Williams, who knows a lot more about it than I will, than I do anyway. But I wanted to ask you personally, what do you think about Chief Montana? Do you know Chief Montana? Have you ever had any of his services, any of his divinations? Do you think he is the real deal, or do you think he's just another con man looking to make a buck? Please let me know in the comments section below. I would love to hear from yourselves. I'd love to hear any questions or comments that you have for me. So guys, once again, I'd like to thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for listening once again to another one of these bloody protracted stories. Thank you for tuning in, and please make sure you tune into the next one tomorrow. Malance Bart Williams. I can't believe I'm having the opportunity to speak to her. She will have a lot to teach us about, not about this situation, but about life in general and about spirituality. It's going to be really fun. So please tune in. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Think twice and ta-ra a bit.